So welcome to today's version of Ask Karen. This is where members, other hosts on the shows get an opportunity to share with you a little bit about what they do. If you've been following us, then you will know that people have these titles and you just don't really understand exactly what they do. So this is their opportunity to share with what they do. And today, well, she's not necessarily a coach or a consultant or a therapist or a healer, although she can coach writing, right? Copywriting skills. But today she's going to be sharing her story regarding to her skill set as being an author and an illustrator. So Allison, can you share with the audience about, how you do what you do? Why? What is your story? How did you come to be doing what you're doing?
Well, hello. Thank you very much for having me. I started writing children's books. I would say the ideas came about 7-8 years ago. And they came as quite a shock to me because, if somebody was to have said to me, are you going to write children's books and illustrate them? I'd have laughed in their faces because that certainly wasn't my plan. But when my daughters were little, my daughter's mixed race, and we were getting ready for it was an annual event where you dress up as your favourite character, World Book Day. And my youngest daughter, she kept coming up with character ideas, and we didn't have any of the outfits or wigs or anything that would be necessary for my daughter to look like this character because all of the characters were white. And my daughter got quite, upset about it. And she was saying, well, no, there's nobody at all in any books that look like me and, chapter books. And the penny dropped. And I thought, you're absolutely right. There were some lovely picture books at the time, but no chapter books for older children, about 7 years and upwards. And then a story came into my head. So started writing it and roll on a few more years. And I created a character called Lorella Swift, and she's basically both of my daughters combined into this character. And she's a 10-year-old schoolgirl who is an ordinary schoolgirl who goes on extraordinary adventures through time. So they're like historical fiction. And that started the ball rolling. And then other story ideas came into my head. And so I then started to write picture books as well as chapter books. And I just keep on doing it now. And again, with the picture books, I did give you an example. I did one. The first one was about a tiger called Zarif. And I drew some illustrations just to show to a designer friend to see if she could recommend a professional illustrator. And she said to me, well, you don't need an illustrator. You can do them yourself. And I was horrified. No, I can't. And she said, well, of course you can. There's nothing wrong with them. Just believe in yourself. So that's what happened. So that's part of it now, as well as writing stories, myself. It's to encourage other people to believe in themselves and share their stories and to show them how it's possible. Because I self-published. And it opens up the whole publishing world to anybody and everybody around the world. So that's it, really. Writing books myself and encouraging other people to share their stories.
Fantastic. And I can relate. Well, I don't think you'll ever get anybody that's going to look like me now. But when I was younger, one with pink hair. I can totally relate to that. And this is an issue that is obviously we're seeing in present day, right, at the moment with The Little Mermaid and all sorts of different opinions going on about that. It seems so crazy to me that's both sides are getting so caught up in this, and because it's just a story, it's a character, it's make believe, and why not? I mean,
exactly.
The whole thing is pretty unbelievable. So I can totally understand how your daughter was feeling back then, but how amazing that her mum was able to come up with that. And like you said, it's about having belief in yourself, because I mean, I know people I think are coming on board now and writing books, whereas previously people would have just thought, well, I can't do that because, you know, that's them and they're well known, or, you know, they've been publishing for years, or they're, you know, they're a celebrity as such. But it really just opens it up, and that everybody has got a story in them, right?
Yes, exactly. And it's up to you where you want to share it as well. You know, I remember when I first came up with the idea of, you know, possibly sharing the story, and I thought to myself, well, I can only do it, you know, the traditional way and get a traditional publishing deal. And if nobody wants my stories, then that means they're not good enough and they'll never see the light of day. And then purely by fluke, I went along, I was doing a course about blogging, and this same course organizer was doing a course on self-publishing. So I thought, oh, well, I'll go along to that and see what that's like. And that completely changed my, you know, my whole viewpoint on how you can publish a story, and how self-publishing isn't this little side, you know, line now that is only reserved for people that they used to call it vanity publishing, which I thought was quite rude. It's almost like you're so, you know, stuck up. You're so vain. You know, the only way you can publish your books is to do them yourself, because nobody really wants them, but you're going to thrust them upon people, you know. And it's not that at all. It's giving people freedom. And yeah, it's wonderful now, and it's got a much better reputation now. But you still have to do good quality stuff, but it just gives you freedom. You know, you're totally in control of everything, and you're not beholden on anyone else or any other company, you know.
Yeah, and yeah, no pressure, which is
yeah, exactly.
Less stress, only the deadlines that you give yourself. So be kind to yourself. But yes, it just opens it up. And yeah, who's to sit in judgment as to it seems crazy to me. People are going to be reading the book and going to be loving the book, as they are, right? But it's I suppose it's giving people the confidence to step out and give it a go. Why not? What's holding you back?
Yeah. What's the worst that can happen?
There you go. Yeah. And now look at you. See, you're absolutely thriving with this. And also, for anybody listening, we have just launched our little podcast network. And again, I think that started from a similar viewpoint, is so many people out there think they can't do it, or that maybe the whole, oh, that would be too overwhelming, oh, it's too much for me, I don't know how to. And it doesn't have to be that complicated. And what you're going to be offering, well, I'll allow you to share with you what you're going to be doing.
All right, well, thank you. Well, yeah, my podcast is called Tiger's Eye Tales. You can tell there's a bit of a tiger theme going on. And what I want to do with my podcast is to share my stories, because I know that not everyone can afford to buy books all the time. I completely get that. You know, it's a tough time for a lot of families at the moment. And I want to be able to share my stories so that, you know, for a few minutes a week, you can sit back and just, you know, just close your eyes and listen to a story, like Jack and Ori style a few years ago. Just that idea of sharing a story, because storytelling is, you know, it's as old as time. And I want to do that, share my stories, but also to share recommendations of other children's books that, you know, I've come across. Because again, there are so many wonderful books out there, and you don't always find out about them. You know, they're not always in shops because they could be self-published, or you could go in a shop and there's so many, you just don't know where to look. So it's to, you know, give some recommendations. And also, you know, if any listeners have got some favorites, they can let me know, and then I can share their recommendations too. So it's, you know, it's basically just age-old storytelling, just sitting back and listening to a story. And you can be, you know, 101, it doesn't matter. You know, you're never too old for a story. So just come along and, you know, just unwind for a few minutes and listen to someone telling you a story.
Brilliant. And how amazing for the kids as well. Because I mean, who didn't like Jack and Ori? You know, these things just aren't around, right? And so amazing that you're going to be doing this, and that is going to be every Friday, I believe. At what time?
Yes, 5 o'clock. That would be GMT. So I think every other Friday. Yeah, on at 5 p.m. Yeah.
So yes, listen in if you've got kiddies that would really benefit from this, because as you say, storytelling. Well, it's everything. I mean, even we talk that even with marketing, with businesses, that the power of sharing your story is essential. So this is not just for children, but for adults too. And get in touch if you have any recommendations as well. So that will be launching in a couple of weeks. So look out for that. You can find that if you go to KarenRobertsCoaching.com/podcast. You will find the podcast network. Alison is one of the podcasters, but the only children's author and illustrator. So she will be doing that on a Friday. Awesome. And with regards to, well, I suppose even promoting your podcast or promoting your books, is there any question that you have maybe had at the beginning, or even have still at the moment, with regards to selling more books or getting your podcast heard?
Yeah, definitely. My question was about email, e-newsletters, basically, because I know they're a really good way of one, connecting with people, but also sharing information. And I just wanted to get your opinion on, how have you found the best way to add people to your list, and also is there a what has been your best frequency of sending out newsletters, so that it's not too much information, so you're not inundating people with info, but it's not too infrequent?
Yeah, sure. It's very difficult to give you a definitive answer with that, Alison, because I think everybody you'd speak to, you'd get completely different answers. Yes, we use e-newsletters. We send out one a week, which is sort of an overview of everything, but we try to email every day. I will go with the 80-20 rule with that. I'm going to be honest that we don't do it every single day. You will need something to capture people's emails, and why do they want to give you their email address, right? So with the promise that whether it's a bi-weekly, I mean, that could be a thing just before the launch of the next podcast would be a good thing as a reminder, this is what's coming on Friday, or in reverse of that, you do it just after your podcast, so for if anybody missed it, so then to remind them for the next one, however which way you do it. So there are many different ways of capturing people's email addresses. So MailChimp is one that's commonly used. We personally use ActiveCampaign. That's a little bit more tools, I suppose, that you can use with that. You've got Aweber, you've got Infusionsoft. There are so many out there, but MailChimp seems to be the simplest. But have something on your website, but also you can do it simply if you didn't want to spend the money and go back to basics and start a spreadsheet. If that's not your way of doing it, that's not obviously not going to be as automated. But definitely that's what you need. That's going to be how you build your list, because the way even that we recommend a lot of promoting anything is using social media. However, we have no control over that. So, tomorrow Facebook could change their rulings, LinkedIn can change their rulings, whatever. So I always advise, your list is your list. So create that outside of these social media platforms, because then that's for you and nobody can take that away from you. There are simple things that you can add on using Gmail as well. Again, it's a little bit more complicated. And you wouldn't, some people you know, you could find people on Fiverr that could help you set up things like that. But for me, I'm all about automation. So keep it simple. Go with something like MailChimp. Have a little section on your website where you're going to be offering maybe so many chapters of your recent book, something to give them in return for their email. And then you've got that ongoing bi-weekly. The only way I can suggest, I suppose, Alison, is testing, and then you can see the open rates. Because also, you know, email marketing is far from dead, but I don't know about you, but I miss a lot of emails. A lot of emails can go into your spam, and they just get missed. So I would definitely actually recommend, if they're on your list, I would also send them a DM on social media. So, say use Facebook Messenger as just an extra way, maybe just a little prompt. You know, the next podcast is going to be on Friday. So send a DM on the Wednesday of your list, purely because we are all so distracted. There is so much to look at every day. So emails can get missed. So having a little prompt in the DM, they will know how to get hold of it anyway. It doesn't even need to be a link in there. Just a quick prompt. The next podcast is going to be Friday. I would definitely add that in on top of the emails.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Don't think you're harassing people. Look, if you know, you see yourself, I'm sure notifications come up about things. You can just scroll on by, but if it catches you and it's of interest to you, then you're going to use it.
Yeah. Lovely. Thank you. That's really helpful. Thanks a lot.
Hope that helps. So thank you for that. I will be tuning into Why Not, you know. I don't have a TV, as I know you know, but some people might not know. So I don't have terrestrial TV. So radio and podcasts are my thing. So why not take some time out and take yourself away from reality and listen to a story. Wonderful. Thank you for your time, Alison. Bye for now.
Thank you.